We're going to play something, and then this phenomenal speaker is going to say a few words for you. His name is Billy Mills. Give him a hand, Billy Mills. It is his birthright now to tell the story that he's going to tell you. It is his birthright. For as long as he walks, he is our champion at the 10K, Olympic champion, and always a Marine. Here it is. Please listen. Please, can I have your quietness? Please listen.
1,000 meters, 25 minutes, 45 and 8/10 seconds. They're going to break the Olympic record if they continue on this pace. It's a slow track, although it's a wonderful day for running. It's cool here at National Stadium. The crowd is roaring. 80,000 people are almost out of their seats watching these runners. Clark is back in the lead. Clark of Australia, followed by Gamoudi of Tunisia. Mills of the USA is in third position. Mills is safe, and now Mills once again is making his move. Clark refuses to let Mills go around him. They're battling for the championship of the world. They're battling shoulder to shoulder. They're knocking men off the track. They had to move a man. Clark moves out in front. And now here comes Gamoudi of Tunisia. He takes the lead, followed by Clark of Australia. You can't believe it. They've run almost 10,000 meters, and they are literally shoulder to shoulder. Gamoudi of Tunisia is moving now. He's making his move. Clark is trying to stay with him. Gamoudi is sprinting. He's coming off the curve. They're about to finish the race. There's only 100 meters left. Gamoudi is out in front. No, Clark is taking him. No, Gamoudi is staving off the challenge. Clark is sprinting. Gamoudi is out in front by you. Here comes Mills of the USA. Mills of the USA. He won. He won. Followed by Gamoudi and Clark. 24 1/10 seconds. What a fantastic victory for the United States. We've just seen one of the most spectacular races in history.
October 14th, 1964, I laid footprints on Mother Earth that forever altered my life. I'm going to share with you footprints that were laid on Mother Earth long before that, long before I laid my footprints on the muddy track in Tokyo, Japan. I'm going to talk to you about footprints that make us who we are today as tribal nations and as the United States of America. And I want to do it for several reasons. There's a continual assault on the footprints Native Americans have laid on Mother Earth. For example, just last week, the President of the United States introduced a proclamation to change Native American Month to National American History and Founders Month. I want to share with the young people and the elders here what I think that means. The best way to do it would to start with footprints laid on Mother Earth May 4th, I believe, 1493. This is not an attack on Jesus Christ. It's not an attack on the teachings of Jesus, but it shows you how individuals, motivated by greed, can manipulate words of wisdom for their own benefit. Words of wisdom that today are still trying to wash footprints laid by our ancestors away by the passage of time and the winds of change, and now by more presidential proclamations. May 4th, 1493, inspired by the kings and queens of Europe, the wealth of Europe, courtesy of the Vatican, the Pope wrote the doctrine of discovery. All of our young people need to know it. They need to articulate what it means and articulate what we have to do as individuals, as tribal nations, and as citizens of the United States of America to collectively bring about the changes that will allow us collectively choreograph the horizon of our future. The doctrine of discovery. Any new lands found, written by the Pope, any new lands found can only belong to the first Christian monarch that discovers them. And the inhabitants of those lands, the indigenous people, estimates of 60 to 100 million of our ancestors, upon landing upon the shores, they must come under international rule of law. Their religion, their language, their songs, the sacredness of their drums, their dance will no longer apply, and they must submit to Christianity. But then it was realized, if our ancestors submitted to Christianity, they could own land. That's the dark part of a history where they said we had no souls. Genocide began, justified in the eyes of the European ancestors, the new immigrants, justice, genocide of the indigenous people. We can see that on our borders today. Estimates of 54 to 94 million of our ancestors killed. What is the United States of America? A low of 12 to a high of 23 million indigenous people. At the end of the wars, our Native American ancestry comes from the 250,000 that survived. Other countries are studying today the most devastating genocide on the planet occurred in the Americas upon our indigenous ancestors. Well, in America today, our leadership, American leadership, is trying to let those footprints be washed away by the passage of time and the winds of change. 1823, the United States government, our United States Supreme Court, to win a lawsuit, based their defense on the doctrine of discovery. Indian people cannot own land. So we can sign treaties, we can break treaties. Every treaty signed, every treaty broken. That gave birth to manifest destiny, which if you look at the true definition of manifest destiny, this land, that is the United States of America today, this land is a gift to the European immigrants from God. I'm half Lakota, I'm half European ancestry. So America is a gift to half of me. The other half of me was thrust into generational trauma. Now the land had to be developed. Slavery. No words can describe the inhumane treatment on innocent. When the slaves were freed, 4 million new citizens. Our leadership in Washington, D.C. went to the poor white, maybe some of my white relatives. I've never met a white relative, but I'm half white. Don't let them take your jobs. They learned great skills as slaves. Don't let them take your jobs. Other countries are saying, as they study this today, that put fear into the poor white. Fear created hate. Hate created racism. Jim Crow was born. 1 year before I won a gold medal at the Olympic Games, I witnessed the Civil Rights Act being passed. We've all seen, regardless of our age, on television today, the young black leadership, women, men, elders, being washed away by the power of a water hose, the water knocking them across the streets. Civil rights activists being killed. I visited Dr. Martin Luther King's church just to try to get a feeling. What maybe those 4 young, innocent young girls were feeling when they put on their robes to sing in the choir when the bomb was thrown, taking their lives. The Civil Rights Act was overcountered by the war on drugs. The war on drugs, to begin with, was to make young hippies and young black men felons. They dropped hippies and included all young men of color. The war on drugs spread to our reservations. I visited 3 reservations 2 months ago, where our young girls, our beautiful young innocent girls, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, have to find a different place to sleep every night because of the meth that has overpowered our Native American communities. And if someone's on meth, the first reaction they have to justify, a craving reaction, and that's to satisfy their own basic sexual needs. And if there's an 8-year-old girl in the house, she will be taken advantage of. If there's an elderly woman, she, or a 12-year-old boy, he will be taken advantage of. The war on drugs is destroying many of our communities. We cannot let the footprints that created this be washed away by the passage of time, by the winds of change. Those footprints I just described are etched into every fiber of our social way of life in America. They're etched into every fiber of our educational system, every fiber of our entrepreneurial system, every fiber of our political system, forever dictating our rule of law. The young people here today, the young ones, are the 7th generation, and it's the 7th generation that will allow us to heal from generational trauma. Generational trauma has a brother or a sister that has to be addressed also, and that I call generational privilege. We can witness generational privilege daily as many of our people suffer from generational trauma. The 7th generation, our sacred youth, are the ones that will help us heal. We have to empower them. I have a vision of my own through my Running Strong program. I want to empower the visions of our elders. I want to inspire the dreams of our youth. But we need to do it collectively. We need to come together. We can dance. Our young people no longer have to go underground to keep our culture. So I challenge constantly our young people to take the culture, the traditions, the spirituality, and extract from them the virtues and the values that empower them, and put those virtues and values into their educational pursuit. I put them into my Olympic pursuit, into my marriage. Why? Because it's the virtues and the values of our culture, our traditions, our spirituality that gives us confidence, gives us direction, and gives us a clarity of mind to keep the sacredness of our drum, the language, the songs, the traditions, and choreograph, along with the rest of America, the horizon of our future. And if we do that, America then will reach the maturity, the sacredness that our flag represents, but our laws do not. So in closing, America, the United States of America, needs its indigenous people, its minority, people of color, its women, not my words, but it needs its women who hold up half the sky. We are in a position to empower this country I served as an officer in the United States Marine Corps, because the country needs us. They need our young people. They need our elders. They're looking for a purpose. Our elders have the visions. Our youth have the dreams. Collectively, you and I have to empower the visions of our elders. Collectively, you and I have to inspire the dreams of our young people, because therein lies the future of the United States of America. I'm humbled, I'm honored to be here with you on Native American Month, and we have to make sure that the rest of America understands what it means. Thank you.